If you need a tax loss, call Peter Schiff. He'll lose you money quick.
You need a tax loss. All right. Hey, Max, I want to go back to a question about the fiat collapse. Does, at least at some point, this lead to a run for liquidity? Let's say the fiat collapse starts on the stock market or whatever. And like we saw March of last year, there's a big flight for dollars because there's so much dollar denominated debt out there. Is that going to cause a sell-off in Bitcoin so people can cover their dollar denominated debt, or is there just going to be is it going to happen so fast that people are going to be like, fuck it, we're just like forgiving debt, or I'm going to take Bitcoin instead?
The dollar is a Potemkin village of fraud. And what I mean by this is that they say, oh, the dollar is world reserve currency. But if you look what's happening around the world with big economies like China, Russia, Iran, and others, they're all doing bilateral deals outside of the dollar. The only buyer of dollars is the Fed. Nobody else is buying dollars. Everyone else around the world's dumping dollars. China's dumping dollars. Russia's dumping dollars. But the only reason the dollar hasn't collapsed is because the Fed is buying dollars. They're buying dollar-denominated assets. There's balance sheets, money, trillions of dollars. And they have some deals with the ECB and maybe the Bank of England. And, they're all trying to mask the fact that the lights and nobody's home. The lights are on, but nobody's home. This thing is a balsa wood. It's a house made of peaches, and all it takes is one little grenade, and the whole thing blows up in everyone's faces. And that's what, if you give it escape, even Christine Lagarde said that she's afraid of Bitcoin because it offers an escape valve, right? And she was trying to make the point that, well, we gotta stop it because people can escape through Bitcoin. That's the most powerful sales pitch for Bitcoin I've heard in 5 years. From Christine Lagarde, ECB chair, saying unequivocally that Bitcoin is an escape valve. So if you're a disenfranchised millennial, if you're a fucked over Gen Z, if you're a broke baby boomer, if you're disenfranchised person, and somebody just said, "Here's your escape, Bitcoin," hello, Swan. Hello, Swan. Yes, I'd like to buy some Bitcoin. Yes, I'd like to escape this nightmare. Please, thank you. It is the escape valve.
This is why we also own the domain webuydirtyfiat.com. So we're going to be using that a lot more to advertise to the broader world. We know it's a joke to the Bitcoiners, right? But eventually, it's going to be a very serious domain name. Everyone's going to be looking for it.
Yeah, webuydirtyfiat.com. Exactly.
Check it out.
People are going to be.
Who's going to be?
Basically,
heading that up already.
Like the U.S. dollar is kind of like the syphilis of fiat money. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants syphilis.
But we have a cure. We have a cure.
Why would you put pubic lice into your pocket? Crap. Why would you do that? I mean, that's what you do when you take out that stinking fiat money. This is like pubic lice, and you're just spreading it all over your testicles. Why would you do that? No, you wouldn't do that. Not if you could avoid it, unless you're in some kind of torture camp somewhere in the basement of the Federal Reserve Bank, and Janet Yellen's trying to force you to accept crabs. No, you wouldn't. Bitcoin is the escape valve. You heard it from the mouth of Christine Lagarde herself.
Yeah, I mean, there was a senator too a couple of years ago, Dan, you may remember this, that was railing against Bitcoin and saying, look, this is a big threat to U.S. power, right? The dollar is the only reason that we have power around the world, and if Bitcoin is an alternative to the dollar, and basically all but admitting that Bitcoin's a better money, we gotta do something about it. But yeah, that line of argument has not really been heard in Congress since. I don't know, man. Tell me what you think about governments and just legislators in general coming around to Bitcoin or choosing to fight it.
Somebody actually in the audience just asked this. I'll go for it.
Sorry, can you guys hear me? I've switched to 4G and I've switched my phone. If this doesn't work, then I'll bow out graciously. But I wanted to stick around because Max was on fire. I can't believe I missed so much of that last rant. But I came into a point where he's like, I came into a point of like, this guy's the worst fucking money manager I've ever seen in my life, and I'm thinking he's talking about shit. So I had, I guess I was on point. I love, Brady, right now is, and I've started following all of the central banks around the world, and the RBA today came out, Royal Bank of Australia came out with more stimulus, you know, in aid of the people and whatever else, and just reading the comments underneath. And when the ECB tweet, I cannot believe the ECB have kept up their Twitter. I really can't. Because if you've got to put notifications on for these institutions. Whenever they tweet, you've got to see the replies. I love watching them in real time if I'm lucky enough to catch it. When like Lagarde, when she last spoke, she was live, and they had the live chat on the right-hand side.
Nice.
They had to shut that down within 5 to 10 minutes. They disabled the chat, and then all of the hornets moved straight into the Bitcoin Twitter feed, and underneath it was just all the memes, all the, you know, calling her out for what she is and what the ECB is. And who was the latest guy?
John Carlo.
Okay, let's say the big fat dude. Like who was that?
Karsten.
Oh my. Right, over to you, Max. I'll let you take that.
He's the final boss of Bitcoin. The final boss.
The final boss.
You need to fiat money. I ate 5 children this morning, and I believe in the state, and I believe Christine Lagarde. I'm hungry. Feed me.
Fiat food, baby. Fiat food.
Fiat food.
Yeah,
precisely.
He's the chairman of the Bank for International Settlements, I think, right?
Settlements, the central bank of central banks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a great book.
That guy has an impacted stool that's bigger than most people's head.
But his quote was something along the lines of sound money to be left in the hands of, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, he was saying,
it was just,
if cryptocurrencies are needed, then only, you know, central banks should be the one to administer them and put them out into the world. It's like, okay, man.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a mess. There's a great book by Nomi Prins, Prins, called Collusion, about the BIS, and then The Creature from Jekyll Island about the Fed. Read both of those. Like, it's everything you need to know about the international banking system. It's a complete fucking fraud, run by absolute fraudsters who are either deluded by their own Keynesian educations, their fiat educations, or they know exactly what's going on and they're just on the power trip and they're, you know, protecting their position in this world at the expense of everybody else. Hey, it's madness. If you're not pissed off, I don't know what you're doing. You gotta figure this stuff out and get out there. This is a revolution that we're in the midst of right now. And like Max says, it only ends in one way. It's Bitcoin. That's the end. So get out there, stack some sats at Swan, learn about what's going on here so that you can find your own voice and get out there and preach this thing, because, you know, you'll save people. Talk to your family and friends about them. You care about these people. You will save them. They need some Bitcoin. Sooner the better.